we go. Jet Lawrence on Forkner, applying the pressure and says, I'm not going to follow any longer. Let's get on with this. I've got a championship to win. Forkner shortcut the track.
It was 678 days since Austin Forkner sat atop the podium, last doing so in 2 Salt Lake City rounds in the bizarre pandemic-affected season. And on Saturday in Foxborough, the pro circuit rider finally broke that streak after a hotly contested battle with a championship-minded Jet Lawrence. With that win, Forkner moves into a tie for 4th all-time in 250 Supercross wins, in good company right behind James Stewart, Nathan Ramsey, and Jeremy McGrath, but unfortunately, he now stands alone as the most winningest 250 rider in the history of the sport to not have a championship to go with all of those race victories. But with all of that being said, should Forkner have either of those 2 marks? Should his win, or at least his points, have been stripped away this weekend? If you're not sure what I'm talking about, let's take a look at what happened at the 7-minute mark of the 250 main in Foxborough. Did you catch that? Look again. Still confused? Well, let's talk it through. Jet gets the whoops much cleaner than Forkner, goes deep into the corner before squaring under Forkner, taking away Austin's line to make an incredible, clean, textbook block pass. Forkner instead opts to avoid Jet by going around the tough block, past the obstacles, and rejoining arguably alongside Jet before repassing the inevitable champion and then catching and passing Pierce Brown later for the lead. So what is the problem? Well, it's not that he didn't get a penalty. I'm not here to argue that he should, but instead to beg the AMA for some clarity on some of these rules in the rulebook, most notably to explain how and why Forkner's little off-track excursion is different from a similar one that Jason Anderson had while racing Malcolm Stewart in their Daytona duel. Found in the AMA rulebook under Rule 4.15I, a rider leaving the course may continue the race by properly re-entering the track at the closest safe point to where the rider left the course without gaining an advantage. While off course, the rider may not accelerate in any unsafe manner as deemed by race direction. If a rider accelerates in an unsafe manner while off course or cuts part of the race course, the rider may be determined to have gained an advantage without gaining a position. The minimum penalty for gaining an advantage while off course during a race will be the loss of a number of positions gained plus 1 additional position in the final results for that race based on the severity of the advantage gained as deemed by race direction. If no positions were gained, the minimum penalty will be the loss of 1 position in the final result for that race based on the severity of advantage gained as deemed by race direction. Obviously, I'm going to have comments saying that the rule is completely based on a judgment call and that race director thought one was worse than the other. And that is fair. But what Supercross needs here is clarification, not just for the fans, but for the competitors themselves about what is and is not allowed when these riders go off the track. Both riders accelerated down that section, as clearly evident by the roost thrown up by both of their rear wheels. One could argue that Anderson does come out slightly ahead of where Forkner does as they rejoin the track, but at no point would you say that Anderson was in control of that fight with Malcolm, and he easily passes him back in the following corner, whereas Forkner fought tooth and nail to maintain his position, in which case it appears Jet relented his fight with Forkner and settled in for the championship finish, or it's possible that Jet saw that and said, Austin's gonna get a penalty, so I'll just back off and wait for the race director to take care of it. Typically, when something like this happens, the results page will show provisional results, but the red official results and point standings will be delayed until the situation is properly reviewed, but there was no such delay as the results and points were updated before the 450 main gate even dropped. And it wasn't like they weren't reviewing for penalties Saturday in Foxborough. There were actually 2 other penalties levied during the 3-hour show. Malcolm Stewart broke Rule 4.19B for allegedly urinating or defecating anywhere other than a porta potty. And red plate holder Eli Tomac was also punished for skipping a podium interview after his 7th place finish in the 450 main event. Again, I just want to reiterate that I am not convinced or lobbying for Forkner's first win in 2 years to be stripped away, but myself as well as Racer X's Kellen Brower at least thought it warranted further review, considering that Anderson's extremely similar move that happened in the middle of the pack was confirmed to be worthy of a penalty. A lot has been made of the perceived increase in penalties this year, and a lot of outcry has been made to quote-unquote just let them race, but I for one welcome the enforcement of the rulebook to put us in line with other more prestigious and mainstream sports. But with that, we also need the transparency from the governing body to help establish precedent for when these kind of things happen in the future. After reviewing the footage, do you think Forkner should have been allowed to keep that position and inevitably his race win? Or do you think for consistency's sake, it should have been treated the same as Anderson's incident in Daytona? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to RotoMoto for more breaking news and analysis like this. It is the #1 way to help get more eyes on the video, is to tell the platform that this was a good one. And if you value the content I put out, please consider joining me on Patreon. For just about $1 per week, you help me continue to make this content for you, and are also entered to win race used and autographed memorabilia from your favorite riders. Up for grab for the month of April is an autographed side plate from Cade Clayson's career best 10th place finish in Detroit this year. Thanks as always for watching RotoMoto. My name is Donnie. Keep it pinned to the weekend.